product office hours from ConnectWise. My name is Evan Marks. I'm hosting today. I'm from the PSA team. You might have seen me presenting a couple of weeks ago. And joining me today is Amit Mehta from the RMM team. He's a director of product management. And Amit is going to be talking about evolved RMM policies, and he'll have both a demo and also a link to some great documentation with policies for you. But before I hand over to Amit for his presentation, I'm going to go through just a little bit about this presentation or this session and what are some of the upcoming sessions. So, product office hours, the concept, if you haven't been to one of these before, is just like office hours at university, where you can, rather than being in a big lecture or working away on your own, you can kind of come in and talk to the staff, find out what's going on, ask your questions, get the inside track. So the idea is for you, you can find out, more quickly and directly from the ConnectWise product teams, what we're working on, what's coming up, what are we thinking, and what are some good kind of tips for you and to how to do things well. And it's also a chance for you to ask questions and give us feedback and kind of get direct to the product team, with the idea being that we can respond more quickly and more coherently to your requests, with the hope that together we can build, better products and help you meet your challenges more effectively. So just a few housekeeping notes before we start then. Recording, everyone watching now, everyone who's signed up, you will receive a recording of this automatically in a day or two. So don't worry if you don't miss every bit or you have to drop off early, you'll get a recording. We also post all of these up on our YouTube channel, and the ConnectWise YouTube channel has all sorts of goods, explainer videos, previous webinars, content about IT Nation Connect and other events. If you want to see what's coming up, I'll show you in a second, but you can also check anytime by going to the ConnectWise University and looking at the calendar in there. And any technical issues, let us know in the Q&A, but I'll also have a couple of tips for you on the next slide. And there's a Q&A function here in GoToWebinar. Please put your questions in that. Don't use the chat, use the Q&A. That's a much better way for us to answer your questions, and we'll also have a better record of your questions after the session ends, in case there are things we don't get to and want to follow up on. So this generally works best if you're using the GoToWebinar app. If you're doing it in browser, Chrome and Edge are the best browsers for this. If you can't see anything, or you can hear us but not see the screen but not hear us, anything like that, just try the usual things: reload your web browser, clear the cache, or try an incognito window, and you won't be affected by screen recording. But me and Amit have, of course, already tested our setups. And do try changing devices or networks if you keep having problems. So just a couple of quick links in the form of QR codes. Then that ConnectWise YouTube channel I mentioned before, you can visit that via this QR code. And as I say, the recordings of all of these office hour sessions are on there, along with other webinars, demo videos, and the like. And then coming up, we have a week off next week, but we will be back on October 29th, and we'll be continuing with RMM. That time we'll be talking about scripting best practices. So please do sign up. And you can sign up, as I said, in the university calendar. And I'll also show just at the end of this session another QR code where you can come in and get that registration as well. So I'm going to hand over to Amit now and let him take it from here.
Right, thank you so much for that. And hi, everybody. So we're going to talk about policies. The most interesting thing that we have built within the ACO functionality that allows you to reconfigure and redo a lot of things without having to manually keep reconfiguring or changing and going through a lot of changes out here. So policies are a very powerful function, as we've been saying, but always what we have seen is there are configuration issues that kind of tends to create problems and issues for the partners. So we've come up with best practices policies that we have kind of looked at larger partners who have been involved in the system, what what settings and configurations they have been using it to get the optimum benefits and the functionality. If I have to just give an example, with these kind of settings and policies, we have seen higher 90s, like 94, 95% of the patch compliance scores for the clients and sites across all the endpoints and things. So what we have done is we have kind of compiled a list of all such configurations broken down for each and every policy type that we have in the system. So you're going to see about 6 or 7 different kind of policy configurations. The QR code that I've put up over here points you to the documentation that will explain what these configurations and settings are. Again, these are our best recommendation based on what we have seen using all the kind of different kind of telemetry that we have here. You might need to change and adjust it based on what your client recommendation and request would be, but this is the kind of a baseline that we want to bring it out. Now, there are 2 parts to this. Part 1 is these policy settings are going to be there in the documentation for all the existing partners. We are going to be ensuring that this goes out for all net new partners to see what these configurations are. They don't need to build it out. In the future, as we kind of further get some feedback from partners, we will be essentially publishing and creating these net new policies and packages in all partner accounts as well. So if you're an existing partner, step 1, look at the documentation, adjust and modify things as per your requirement. And for all the net new partners, you don't need to do anything. These policy settings should be available out of the box. And once we go through these policy settings, I'll take the screen share for a second so that we can do a live discussion about it. All right, so I'll take my screen share here. I hope you guys can still see that. So this is my test account, test instance here. Very quickly, if you want to navigate to policies, it is under endpoints and policies, and there should be a packages section, which is combining these policies together. So what these configurations are, let's start with the very basic remote access policy. It's a very basic policy. Most of the time, partners were able to crack it through rights, in terms of how they would like to define that and apply that particular thing. So policy settings are pretty straightforward. Whether you want to do the deployments on the servers and workstations, we have added a couple of feature improvements with it, which is the reason for remote access. So every time somebody's going to be trying to take a remote access from the user console, they would be prompted for a reason, which can be available and accessible through reporting. That kind of gives you a little more documentation. What is the purpose for that? Definitely, that consent and other function definitely comes out way later in the flow for completing that particular transaction. A couple of sections you might not see here, which is the access management, unless you enable that particular function to our integration section. But this is a very basic, straightforward thing. And as I mentioned, this is there. But if we go further, like there are a few complex version of these policies. I'm gonna quickly show that for patching. Let's start with patching. All right, let's start with patching. Let's start with desktop patching here. So it's one of the most complex things that that supports a lot of functionalities. You need to find the right configuration here. So we'll quickly go through some of the settings. What we recommend is better. So we start with the patch classification here. And as you would be aware, security updates, the ConnectWise team does review all your security updates that are being rolled out on every second Tuesday. Yesterday we had the Microsoft rollout for the second Tuesday for patches. 7 days is the time frame that ConnectWise team takes in for reviewing those patches and approving or even disapproving those patches, so they won't go out on the endpoints protecting your networks and stuff. The rest of the details is pretty much based on what your client needs are. Some clients would need every patch should be deployed on their endpoints. That's how they want to maintain and ensure that their compliance scores are being considered. One thing that we do not recommend here is drivers. One thing why we don't recommend drivers is because drivers could have unexpected consequences when they are being deployed. Their hardware configuration, things should match out. So if you want to roll it out, you may try doing manual patch deployment for those driver updates through our approvals section, where you should be able to define and say, all right, I want to test it out for this particular machine. If everything works as expected for you, you may expand that and even update that into your policies. So again, as I said, this is what you see here. It's just what we recommend should be at least a minimal set of patches that should be deployed on the endpoint. But if your client needs are to deploy anything and everything that Windows Update can offer, you may go ahead and turn it on for everything else. We strongly recommend OS upgrades and Mac updates to be pushed out on the endpoints as well to keep those networks fully up to date. And then comes out the most important thing, scheduling. Because we're talking about the desktop patching, the desktop machines are practically endpoints that are used by end users. They may not be all on all the time. They may turn it off. There may be mobile users who may be available only for a limited period of time. That's where we have identified two important settings for the download and install, both set as immediate. The reason for setting those immediate is all the newer operating system Microsoft has done over the time. They have evolved the way how the patching works on the endpoints. So they've been doing a good job in terms of ensuring the machine doesn't get slowed down during the patch deployment. It doesn't create unexpected delays or unexpected problems during the installation process. And we have tried and tested across thousands of devices with different kind of patches being pushed out. We haven't experienced any problems. So we recommend that download and install should be there. So even if the user is mobile, doesn't have a full-time connectivity available for internet, the patches will be downloaded as and when available. They will even get deployed. Now, for the reboot and stuff, there could be different scenarios where a user may be continuing to work on that, or they may not be working on that. But by and large, we've seen endpoints users tend to go ahead and reboot their machines by themselves. But still, we've kind of recommended that the timing of the reboot should kind of a little bit have an overlap with the time when the users are kind of wrapping up their work. That's why we started somewhere about 4 p.m. That's where we have seen a trend based on our telemetry data. The machine starts turning it off, and that's where the data changes for the availability on our side. So that's where we start seeing dip. That's where we are recommending to have some overlap where user can get those notifications. They can decide whether they want to do the reboot before they sign out for the day. But additionally, there is the notification that we would recommend. Again, this notification part could vary based on each partner and each client. The standard, what we have seen across a lot of devices, I would say almost 70–80% of the endpoints, they prefer to keep it under 5. So 3 is what we recommend. You can always change it. It's an hour-long delay available for the user, so they will get notification. This is a standard notification that's been pushed up over here. However, whatever, anything that you would like to make an update or change, you can do it. Also, you can brand it so that the end users are aware that this is coming from you and it's not more of a phishing or another update coming out that they shouldn't be clicking on it. Apart from the reboots, there's another part, which is the feature updates or OS upgrades. Again, those are not frequently coming out from Microsoft. That's why if you look at the repeat frequency, we've set it once a month on the third Thursday. Again, that's not a magic date or a number that I came out. That is what we saw as a pattern that's being utilized by partners in here. So that's the schedule. We do not recommend users to check for updates on the endpoint for rebooting the machine. So we strongly recommend that we turn it off so that users who have their rights, there are users on the machine, they would have admin rights, they would be able to go ahead and check for updates, they might see all kind of details. Now, that's where the things would change, because certain updates that you don't prefer to be pushed out on the endpoint, or you would have blocked those updates because the user is an administrator, it's directly calling and updating Microsoft for the updates. they might start receiving those patches on the endpoint, creating problems and issues. So our strong recommendation is do not keep that turned on for the end users. Again, based for any compliance reasons that you would like, you can turn that on for specific users or across the different fleet of the options. There's another version in here, which is the extended pending reboot detection. This is by and large an extended version of detecting anything and everything that could cause a machine into a reboot required state. Uh, you know, applications, when they do an update, Microsoft has this registry where it can log, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to delete these files, update the registry configurations at the restart? So there is this log, and there's a full article in the virtual community and in our ConnectWise Talk Center that talks about those details. So you can have a look at that, but I just want to be, giving a cautious update here. Anything that you turn it on with the extended pending reboot detection, it will cause a lot of restarts or users constantly being prompted for those reboot notifications. So I've tried to go through the details for one of the desktop patching. Again, patching is one of the most critical things that everybody would like to ensure. We have similar kind of settings, and I'll quickly go through some of the server ones as well. Give me 1 second. There's the server policy in here, which is pretty identical to what we recommend for the desktop, but again, it's because of it's a server endpoint. The download and install schedules are being slightly different. Again, each server configuration would be different based on your client. We have seen patterns where most of the server patching is done over the weekends. So that's where, if you'll see, it's a little larger window for the midnight part of it, which is again when the servers are rebooting or patching. There shouldn't be any kind of an impact to an end user who's being connected to a server for file sharing or any other needs for that. So midnight time frame and rebooting it over early morning time frame. So and again, there is a reason why we have tried to keep it a little towards the later part of the midnight processes. If something goes really bad with the server, turn it back online after the patching and stuff, which we haven't seen that happening recently, again, because of Microsoft constantly evolving their operating system and making it more resilient with those patches and recovery part of it. But still, if something goes wrong, it's pretty close to the start of the next day. You should get notified and have a minimal downtime or an impact to any users out here. Again, for end user, for the server endpoints, we do not recommend even notification because servers are not something that we have seen users would be logged in. By and large, majority of the partners would keep this turned off for the reason. We've seen patterns, a mixed pattern in terms of users allowed to perform check for updates. But again, we strongly recommend not to do that because you have to raise your console. You can do practically almost everything right from the console itself. You don't need to go down on the endpoint. That's where we are recommending to, again, keep that turned off for those settings and policies out here. I know I kind of talked about this, but it is pretty much the same. Here is the QR code, once again, for everything what I just talked about it, these policy settings, and for all the other ones like the network monitoring, the RMM site configuration, the configurations are made available. Please go through that and let us know if there's any questions. One last quick update here. We allowed partners to do package assignments at a site level. We are essentially extending that particular function to support it at a company level as well. So here is one visualization in terms of how the policies are effectively applied on the endpoint. So at the very top, we have the ConnectWise's default, which I'm not talking about the evolve policies, but the recommended default state. The policy is turned off, which is at the very top. And then we have partner defaults, where you can mark a package to be default, which automatically pushes it down to all your companies and sites. Then we are introducing a brand new section here, company. we are having a release plan tomorrow where you would be allowed to do assignments of packages at a company level as well, which was in the past only at a site level, which is the one below that. Uh, we do have a concept of device groups. And at the very bottom, we have the overrides as well. So in the full hierarchy of items, the evaluation process starts from the bottom up, which is any overrides, they will be catered first, then it gets into the device group. And within the device group, we could have multiple tiers of device groups being created. So we'll start always with the policy, which is at the very bottom of it. If one of the policies gets applied, we stop any further evaluation for that particular endpoint of the order. Then comes sites, then comes company, then come partner default. So kind of this was an ask from a lot of partners. So I'm glad to bring it up over here and communicate with you in person. Company would be available starting tomorrow. And the benefit with that company part of it is every time you add a new site under that company, if there's a package that's been applied through a company, it will automatically inherit to the sites and the endpoints over there as well. And with that, I'll take a quick pause and I'll try and answer some of the questions. There are a few questions put up on the chat, so we can go through one at a time. All right, so first one is we're a long-time ConnectWise customer, recently moved from Automate to RMM. Is quick suspend in RMM same as maintenance mode and Automate? If so, it's not working because you'll see a lot of scripts continue to run on agents that are in quick suspend mode. Right, a great question. So the quick suspend option or suspension overall, it only applies to alerts or tickets that are going to get generated. If this is in respect to the general question, then that is the answer. But in case if you're referring to the patching cycle of it, as soon as patching gets initiated on our side, we automatically put that particular machine into a maintenance mode. But again, what I mean by maintenance mode is suspending the alert generation for that particular endpoint. So that's how it operates. There was a question about the reboot. If you could just post that question in the chat, I can definitely get those answered for you. I have scheduled the reboot every day according to the same schedule you showed. Will the device reboot daily if we set up the schedule like that? A great question. And the way our patching reboot, like you're referring to the reboot function that's being set over there. If it will only get executed if there is a patch that needs a reboot. So after the patching is completed, the machine will get into a state called as pending reboot. If that pending reboot is the state of the machine and the next schedule for the reboot would come across, then that's when the machine will get into the reboot. However, if you're looking for rebooting the machines on a daily basis, then there is a function that says always reboot the endpoint. Let me just quickly show that to you here. There is the always reboot, which will always try to reboot that particular machine in that duration. But if it is this part of it, what you're referring to, then it will only get executed for rebooting only if the machine is in the pending reboot state. And that pending reboot state is available on the dashboard to show all the devices which are in that state or against those endpoints as well. All right, next question is how do you handle Microsoft clusters and cluster aware updating? Currently, the system would not look at the features or the functions enabled for the Microsoft failover. The system will essentially follow the same pattern what's defined through the policy. However, what we have seen is partners can define and set those machines as failover clusters using custom fields or something. And you can have a separate policy that is deferring the reboots or different times for those machines as you need. Yes, the schedule, the meeting recording and everything is going to be available. We will post this up in the YouTube video, and we'll open up that that QR code here. You just open that up. Here's the channel. Here's a QR code where you should be able to, basically watch the recording for this particular one, or also the previous one as well. Is there a way to pause any automated things running if it is not quick suspend? That's a work item we are planning. So there are two things that we're going to bring it in. One is a function within the scripting to automatically suspend things, and the other one that we're going to bring it up is kind of like leave me alone. As soon as the machine is set into that particular state, no script, no alerts, nothing would get executed. It will be just in that state kind of function to complete any other activities which you are defined on that machine. Right. So where do SQL updates, not the security updates, are a part of? The cumulative updates, we see them in reports, but not in device itself. Ideally, any patches that are being offered on that particular endpoint should be reflected. So there are two sections within the device. One is the policy update, and another one is a non-policy update. So any kind of non-policy, anything that is not defined within the policy for that particular endpoint would always reflect under a non-policy update. And in the non-policy update, you will be able to see those updates. You can even make manual actions if you're looking for specific ones over there. But we do not filter anything that is being collected right from the endpoint. It's still rebooting machines where the rebooting is not pending. As mentioned back in the policies, if you would like to reboot the machines on a daily basis, irrespective whether the patch is pending or not, always rebooting endpoint is the configuration for you. But in case if you're looking for endpoints that should get rebooted after the patches have been deployed, and one of the patch calls for a pending reboot, that's where these rebooting policies, the settings would be applicable. If it is not fitting into that particular criteria, system will just basically skip that window. It will not perform anything because machine doesn't call for any actions over there. All right. It seems like if there are more questions, if there is, please reach out to our support team. They should be able to help you, set the right thing and even look at what is missing or what's not completed right. Right. And I don't see any more questions. So, Evan, I'll pass it over to you for the next one.
Thanks, Amit. So yes, our next session, which isn't next week, we're taking 1 week off. It'll be on October the 29th. So that's going to be another RMM session about new scripting enhancements and best practices. So you can follow the QR code on screen right now. And just to say once again, if you go to the ConnectWise University and log in there, check the calendar, and that's where we post all of these upcoming sessions and their links as well, of course, any other webinars and events that we are doing for ConnectWise. And when you're using the university, please do also check out our virtual community. That's a great place to go and give us feedback. We also put calls of feedback on specific topics there, when we are looking for input on a new topic we might be working on. And there's also some really great experts among the community, other ConnectWise partners and consultants and so on, and they often have answers for people who have some more specific questions. So thanks again to Amit for talking to us about RMM policies today. Thanks for your questions. I did post a few responses myself, just some links, and as one person was asking who missed the beginning of the session, yes, you will be able to watch this later. So we release the recording in usually a day or two. It will be sent to you automatically if you signed up for the session, and it will also go on our YouTube channel, and I posted that in response to your question, Majan. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and look forward to seeing you all at the next session.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a great day.